The California Legislature wrapped up its business on Saturday, August 31st at midnight, but there's a lot of activity going on this fall as it relates to the legislature and future office holders. We're anticipating up to 34 new members of the legislature showing up in December after the November 5th elections are completed. To start off with, there are 8 members of the California Assembly who are being termed out of office. Those 8 members include Reggie Jones-Sawyer, Chris Holden, Brian Manshine, Jim Patterson, Anthony Rendon, Freddie Rodriguez, Phil Ting, and Republican Marie Waldron. But there's a number of other members of the Assembly that won't be returning next year beyond those that are termed out. And this includes Megan Dahle, who's running for the California Senate to replace her husband, the current Senator Dahle. It includes Assemblymember Jim Wood, who is retiring from the legislature before term limits would have forced him to. It also includes Assemblymember Kevin McCarty from Sacramento, who's running for the mayor of Sacramento. Carlos Villalpudua, who lost his seat due to election engineering down in San Joaquin County. Tim Grayson, who's running to replace a termed-out senator. Evan Lowe, who is leaving the legislature to run for a congressional seat that's become vacant down in San Jose. Devin Mathis from the Central Valley, who's leaving the legislature before his term is up. Eduardo Garcia, who is also retiring from the legislature. Luz Rivas, who's running for Congress, is giving up a couple of terms that she had left. Similar to Laura Friedman, who's also running for Congress and who's also giving up years on her term in the Assembly. Eloise Reyes is running for a open Senate seat. Wendy Carrillo chose not to run for re-election and run for the LA City Council, but she lost that race. Miguel Santiago is also stepping down after having lost a city council race, and he's leaving a couple of years behind on his assembly term. Sabrina Cervantes is trying to move to the upper house, and she's running for the Senate seat being vacated in the Inland Empire. Assemblymember Akilah Weber is also going to be leaving the assembly, and she's trying to replace Toni Atkins, who's terming out of her seat down in San Diego. And finally, there's Vince Fong, who is in Congress right now, but who could get returned back to the Assembly if he loses his congressional bid this November, but wins his race where his name is on for the Assembly. It's a little complicated with Vince, but it's likely Vince will stay a member of Congress. So all told, that is 24 members of the California Assembly that won't be returning to office in the next 2024 to 2026 session. Now we come to the members of the Senate. There are 10 members of the California Senate that are being termed out, and these include Toni Atkins, Steve Bradford, Brian Dahle, Bill Dodd, Susan Eggman, Steve Glazier, Anthony Portantino, Richard Roth, Nancy Skinner, and Scott Wilk. In addition to those 10 senators being termed out, Senator Dave Min is leaving the Senate early before his term's over, and he's running for a congressional seat against Scott Baugh down in Southern California. And then you have Senator Janet Nguyen, who's interested in becoming an Orange County supervisor again, and if she wins that election, she will be resigning from the California Senate. So you've got at least 10 members in the Senate that won't be returning, and another 24 members of the Assembly. So we're looking at a record 34 members of the legislature will not be returning in the 2024-2026 session. So lots of changes coming to the legislature. Stay tuned for more details as they become available.